Welcome everybody. Welcome to my New York City virtual meetup. I typically do my New York City PowerShell meetup on this channel and many other types of things. And today I'll be covering the GPT-4 code interpreter. I'm going to do an unscripted discovery. We'll do a bit of a dive into it, see how it goes. So if in the chat, if this is your first time joining, what does that drawing mean? I have no idea. I'll leave it to your imagination. So if it's the first time here, type a one. And if you also want, you can, where are you from? I'm based in New York City. I'm in Midtown Manhattan, and I am up the block from the World Trade Center. Nicely done, from the UN. So is everybody's been here before? Awesome. So I guess you know me, but for those who may not, uh, I'm a Microsoft MVP 15 times, and my focus is pretty much PowerShell. I wrote a book on PowerShell, built a lot of things in PowerShell. One of my recent things that I built is something called PowerShell AI. Um, if you haven't gotten it, I'll drop it in here. You can head over to the GitHub repo, and there I have documentation. I have links to videos that I've done, and we'll talk about that in a second. And when you install it, you can do it with an install module, PowerShell AI, one word on the PowerShell AI. And once you do that, you can do something like type in GPT, name 5 types of cheesecake. So this is actually going out and we'll talk to GPT, and it sent that prompt and it gave me that chat response. That's just the basics of getting started. If you don't have an API key for from OpenAI, you can get it. If it's the first time you're running it, it'll throw an error and give you a link that you can go and get yourself a key. And that's also documented on the repo. But today we're not going to talk about that. What we're going to talk about is the code interpreter, which is a new feature, which is really cool. And before we go there, I just want to bring your attention to most of you folks, I guess, maybe got here through my meetup page. And if you go back on there, you can check out upcoming meetings next week, next Thursday. I'm really excited. Bruce Payette, he's a founding member of PowerShell team, and he will be on, and he's going to talk about the new language he's building called Braid, a post PowerShell shell. You have access to all of PowerShell in it, but he's building in concepts from Lisp, Scheme, and Clojure. And he's going to take us on a deeper dive of what that is. So I'm really excited to check out what that's about. If you want to head over to my YouTube channel, I post my videos, and here's a link. You can subscribe and click the notifications there. I post all the videos from the meetups there. I also going to post the one I'm doing right now. I've done about, I think, 3 of these already. This is my 4th one where I'm doing some work on code interpreter. So if you can't make it or you miss it, you'll get notified on my YouTube channel, and you can check it out at your leisure. I also post, I have something like 20 plus videos on my PowerShell AI module. They're short little videos, maximum, I think 5 to maybe 1 to 10 minutes. And you can check that out, see how the tool works, how it integrates with a whole bunch of different things. So with that, let's bring up and start doing some stuff with code interpreter. Let's see. I need to set one more setting. I don't know why it doesn't have it there. All right, well, I can't. So let's head over to Chat GPT on the web. Now, there's a couple of ways you can work with Chat GPT. If you don't pay for it, it costs $20 a month. If you don't pay for it, you get the free version. I believe you get GPT 3.5. and you won't be able to get what I'm about to show you. So if you pay $20, you can get access to GPT-4 and a bunch of other features. The other thing you get for the $20 a month is you get access to um, the new features that they come up with. And one of the new features under here in beta is called the Code Interpreter. So plugins has been out for a while. Code Interpreter was out 4 or 5 months ago, maybe a little longer. It was given to only the top researchers that were working with this, and then within the last month or so, they released it to the rest of the Chat GPT Plus subscribers. And you have typically this is off. You have to click it on, and then you are opted in. When you do that, you can click on GPT-4. It either is going to give you a default, or it'll give you the code interpreter, or you can choose plugins, one of the three. So I'm going to click on code interpreter, and now I'm ready to go. I want to do one more thing. I'll come into my data control. I think chat history, general. I'm going to clear the previous chats. That should be fine. Cool. So now I've got code interpreter set to go, and it works based on prompts. So prompt engineering is becoming the new thing. It's how we program. It's how we program the model. So the way we communicate with it is we can type in simple words, we can type in sentences, we can type in paragraphs. The more specific you can be, the better the response. The less specific you are, we call that minimal effort prompts, and you get minimal quality output. I'm going to do a lot of probably minimal effort prompts here, and we'll see what we get. But if you can go more specific, you get really interesting. You get much better interactions. The other thing about this is that this is it's a messaging protocol. So what that means is you type in a message, it returns a response, and then you can type in something like if you want to make something less ambiguous or give some more specific information, and ChatGPT will remember the conversation so it has a context and it has memory that it can work from, so it can then give you better answers. So it may go off the rails a little bit, but then you can say, oh, I didn't mean that, I meant to do this, I didn't, please try that, please try another thing. So it's a conversational model, and that also brings some new interesting pieces. It's not a Google search, it's not a keyword search, it's an actual conversation. So if you have any questions as we go along, feel free to drop them into the chat. I'll keep an eye on that. And if it's too long to answer the question or it's too much to type, raise your hand and I can take you off mute and we can chat. We can chat about chat. So what did I want to do today? So let's just pop over to that. Oh, yep, good. And so I have been playing around with the code interpreter for a bit. I've been watching a whole lot of interesting things developing over the last several weeks. And yeah, that's good. So one of the cool things that you can do with this is I'm going to type in, turn this entire prompt starting from the beginning into a text to speech file that I can download. I'm telling the model also to proceed without further questions. So sometimes the model might say, hey, I'm going to try and do X, Y, and Z. Would you agree with my approach? And do you want me to continue? So I'm going to tell it straight up, proceed without further questions. And I'm also going to tell it what Python piece to use. I want to use PyTTSX3, and then I wanted to create an output download file. So let's kick that off. So what this is, it's actually a sandboxed Python interpreter, right? So it uses Python, and I believe they're using Kubernetes. They use Docker images. So this becomes a sandboxed environment up in the OpenAI space on Azure. Oh, I apologize. And I'm unable. So it should have tried to create the Python program to do its thing, and now it's saying it doesn't have access to the internet. And I'm going to just simply say here for a moment, try again, see what happens. If okay, so we can't. That's interesting. I did try this earlier, and it did work. And now I think it's just going to give me text, which is an unfortunate thing for the demo. But let's check out. So now you see it's trying to do something, and in fact, it's creating Python code, and it's going to execute the Python code. Well, that's a bummer because it's asking me to do the text tool, which I don't like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab what I did, and I'm going to refresh my screen, make sure I'm in ChatGPT Code Interpreter. So now some people might at this point go, oh, this thing, does this kind of stuff. It makes errors. So this might be, so they didn't update the version of ChatGPT. Again, I tried this, I think this morning, and it worked. And it actually synthesized a voice and actually gave me a file that I could actually play with and play the actual text to speech. So it could be that they're trying to do some things. Again, this is in a beta mode. Unfortunate to open up with that kind of a demo. So let's, this is the whole thing about ChatGPT. I often say ChatGPT is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. So right now, it's not happy about doing this. So let's try something else. I'm going to try and create a tree map. So let me new up another chat, make sure I'm in Code Interpreter, and I'm going to say, create a tree map of the letters in the following quote. And it's Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. So it's going to give me a tree map of the frequencies of the letters in that little, I don't know what you want to call it. They're working to sabotage your demo. Yep. Well, you don't have a real demo until the demo gods dump on you. So hopefully that's the last one for today. Like I said, this is an unscripted. So I did try a couple of things and it did work, but well, so I gave it the little rhyme and I asked it to use Plotly Graph and I asked it to give each part of the tree map a different color, output a downloadable file. And if we take a look at this, this is a Python program that it wrote. And you can see it took some things. It took the actual quote, which is a string, translated it, turned it into lower, did a counter on a bunch of stuff. And it used the tree map to create values, marker colors, so on. And then it actually created an output file path up in the Docker image and then gives me a link at the end that I can click, downloads the file, and hopefully when I open it, yeah, so there we have a tree map of all the letters and the frequencies in that Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers or whatever it's called. So so now this, you might look and say, oh, well, that's, when do I really ever have to do that? You can also play around with this and you can copy and paste in or upload an entire file, which I'll show you how to redo some files, but not to do a tree map. You can upload a file and then you can have it say, pick out certain stuff about text or information within the file, if it's in a CSV format or XLSX, Excel workbook. It knows how to read those file formats. And then it can actually then do analysis, which we'll see in a minute. It'll be a little bit different than this. So this is just kind of really to plant some seeds of like, wow, what can I really do with this thing? And you don't have to look at the work if you're not a Python programmer. Excuse me. You don't have to worry about that. But in fact, I can copy this code. I can go locally. I have Jupyter Notebooks installed in my Visual Studio Code. I can paste this in, I can run it, and then I have a working program locally. So this could be as complicated or as simple as you want. You could just run it all in ChatGPT and see the results, and then just grab the whatever you're outputting, whether it's images or files of, I could ask it to put this in a Python file. You can do analysis on CSV files, as I said before, add data to it, clean the data, And then you can say, give me the resulting file as a CSV or a Parquet file, whatever you'd like. And then you can download it and work with it locally. So let's do another chat. And what I want to do here is, where are we? I want to go grab a file from my file system. And awesome. I thought I had put that in, but it's okay. If I click this, so when you get the ChatGPT 4 and you're actually using the code interpreter, you get a little plus button and you can go here and you can then browse. So I'm going to grab I grabbed this off of Kaggle, kaggle.com. And I wanted to take a look at life expectancy data. So this is a zip file and it has a file inside of it. So I'm just going to double click that. We're going to upload it. And once it's uploaded, I always look at ChatGPT as being a really smart intern that knows how to code. So again, we're talking about prompting, about doing things. I'm going to just give it, it's smart and knows how to code. And I can say something like, now what? So let's see where we go. If the demo gods are against us, or it just goes off the rails. And looks like I uploaded a file. How can I assist you? Would you like me to extract the contents? And I'm going to say, yes, please, PLS. So it knows how to PLS. It knows how to expand that into please. And I try to be polite with GPT, try to keep it in a good mood. Clearly, I didn't do that in the earlier example. So it starts by extracting a zip file. So it knows the file paths and it knows how to set up a Python program to grab that zip file and extract the contents. Again, I can click copy code and I could actually run this locally. And inside is one file, life expectancy.csv. So what can we do with that? So far, that's pretty cool, I think. So I could just go hand off a zip file and say, go figure it out. In this case, I only have a single CSV in it. I can have multiple CSVs. I demoed that in, the last time I did this on a bunch of stock data. Had a bunch of 4 or 5 CSV files in there. It was able to extract those, read all of them, and they were all pretty much the same thing. They were stock data over a period of 5-6 years. This has one file, CSV file, and I could have a CSV file, an XLSX file, or other well-known type files in here, PDF, and it would know how to extract the data from all 3 types and more. So it said, tells me what it is, and do you want to explore the contents? And I'll say, please explore. So now it's going to take a look at the CSV. Typically in a data science environment, right? You'll take a CSV or whatever data source you have. You might do things like print out the first few records. You might say print out the headers. And it comes back already and it's telling me it contains information related to life expectancy from different countries. So I just cracked that open. I didn't pass up any other information about it. And this is pretty much all the headers from the CSV. So we're off to a pretty good start. So what can I do with this? Let's ask ChatGPT, what are the most advanced and technical visualizations you can do with this data? Proceed to do it. So it comes back with a list. Here's what we can do. It can do a correlation heat map, time series, pair plot, geoplots. And it's going to say, let's start with the first 3 visualizations. So it tells me what it can do, and it's going to give me a correlation, life expectancy distribution, and a time series analysis. I didn't ask it to do that. So it determined all that good stuff. It went ahead and did some things. Oh, this is cool. So it's using Seaborn and Matplotlib. Those are well-known Python libraries. It did, looks like it did get an error. And it gave two advanced views, life expectancy distribution by status and the heat map up top. So maybe those aren't things that we're familiar with, but this is a way that you can interact with ChatGPT. Try to get a sense of, well, what does it do? How does it do it? How do I have to prompt it to actually get certain things done? Would you like me to proceed with the next visualization? And I'll just say yes. So we got two of them. For this, choose a few representative countries. Yep, those are countries from all over the world. Obviously, countries. And it's picked United States, China, India, Germany, and so on. And it goes ahead. So it's figured out what data is in there, figured out what countries, and now it's come back with a time series. You can observe the life expectancy, how life expectancy has evolved with some countries showing steady growth. So it's actually doing some analysis and giving me a summarization of what's going on, which is, I think, is really neat. So does anybody would like to see something else with this particular kind of data, or I can ask it a question and we can see how it actually works? Otherwise, I can continue. It's your choice, whatever you'd like. It looks like we're going to just continue. Okay, so now I'm going to go this, we're going to really go out on the limb, see if this can do how we are today. And I'm going to say, can you make a 256 by 256 MP4? So I want an animation that gradually reveals the lines as they progress on the x-axis. Comes back and says, certainly. So we can see it's using the matplotlib animation, func as animation that's built into that library. And I'm not 100% confident this is going to happen, but let's see. Or it might actually come out with something. So it actually did the thing. It actually used FFmpeg, and it actually looks like this time it actually produced the chart. I don't think it's going to run the animation there, but let's click the download file, and I'm going to open it. And click the run button. And it didn't do what I wanted. What I actually wanted to do was to see each one of the lines incrementally growing over time. So it didn't get that right. So we have two problems already. But that's okay. Now, if I wanted to, I would spend more time with this and I would then improve my prompt. Remember, it's a conversation. It knows the context. And I can come back and say, hey, that didn't quite work. Can we try X, Y, and Z? Got a couple of questions. Dilip, hope I'm pronouncing your name okay. And can you ask some meta questions on how it is generating code, generating the code visualization? It would be good to see how it is working. That's an interesting question. And Brandon didn't realize it supports rich text visualizations now. I've been asking for everything in ASCII too. ASCII 2 is fine. And it all depends on which model you're using, right? If you're using GTP3 or 3.5, you're not going to get this. Remember, it's programming this in Python, and then it's executing the Python. And I'm quite surprised here because typically if it does get an error, I don't remember where that is. Maybe it's here. Nope, one more up here. So we got a standard error. Typically, this may not have been a catastrophic error, but it would recognize that it got an error and it would go back and try to redo the program, the Python program, to actually get a better outcome. So let's go over to the meta question. When you say questions on how it's generating the code visualizations, what do you mean? Like, how is it inspecting the data, or what libraries it's using to do the visualizations? Can you say a little bit more? And actually, what I'm going to do is how the latter question, what libraries? Okay. Well, we can do that. And just to take a look at back up here, so you can see here's the actual Python that it used, right? So we can see the imports. How does it know to use Python 3 and Seaborn? Great question. So that's why this is sandbox. That's why this is in beta. So right now, OpenAI actually, I don't, there's a requirements.txt out there. You can take a look. Shows you what, like, I don't know, they have 100 packages that they install. So they set up the Python environment. When I did the early one with the speech, it typically is able to grab that. I don't think it downloads it from the internet, but I think it has it in its local package management system. So yeah, there it's yes, it's based on the sandbox Docker. So you can't really, it will prevent you from trying to do some damage. But even if you do escape the Docker container, so on and so forth, or you do try to do things like format the disks, whatever you want to do, it will only affect your Docker image. And in fact, that's another good, interesting point too. If I let this sit for, I don't know what the timeout is, but if I come back in a few hours or tomorrow, it will tell me that this Docker image is no longer available, and I need to reset everything up, which is good to know, depending on how you're using it. If you're, if you're going to take a lunch break and come back, you may have to redo all your prompts to get this thing back to the way you wanted it to. Cool. The other thing that's really interesting, and then to understand, the plus version is $20 a month still. Any ways to get cheaper free versions of it? I don't know of any other cheaper or free versions. Yes, it's $20 a month, and it's definitely worth going from try it out for like 2 months, spend $40. You begin to get a feel for what it can do. You get insights, you get to build your prompt engineering muscle. You get an intuition about what you can do, what you can't do. Like what would I even ask this to try to accomplish? And how would I break it down into smaller prompts? So it's worth getting that experience. And you convinced me after this demo. Excellent. Please tell OpenAI they can give me a free month. I'm only kidding. Yes, this is the way forward. These tools are amazing. And they have tremendous competition, right? They have Anthropic, they've got Llama from Meta, and they're all dropping new stuff. And Google's announced they're going to have Gemini. They're going to release Gemini. They already have Bard. And of course, OpenAI is talking about GTP5. This is GTP4. Some people think it's GTP 4.5. That's all speculation. Don't really know. Now, what's also, I think, interesting is up here at the code interpreter. Let's do a new chat. So here, there's a plugin beta. And then what I can do is I can choose to enable my plugins. I can go to the plugin store and I can search for ones. These are the popular ones. I can look at the new, I can look at all, and many. The SDK to build a plugin is all based on Python. So you can, like here, you can ask your PDF. So you can install this, and then you can point it to a PDF. That PDF does go to that company's resources or its servers, and it reads it. Of course, they say, we don't take your data. Trust chat, but verify. But these are all plugins, and ChatGPT the code interpreter was actually a plugin to begin with. Right? They started out as a plugin, then they actually offered it to the researchers, and then they said, hey, we're going to just take it out of the plugin mode, so to speak, and we're going to offer it as a standalone inside ChatGPT. I think they're going to actually open this up so that you can use it from the REST services. Again, name 10 types of cheesecakes. And this is all REST APIs that I've wrapped in PowerShell. And that's why Python and PHP and JavaScript and Java and C# are all able to tap into the same thing. My speculation is this is going to become a part of the REST API. And it's going to be really cool. And I don't see it being, in my mind, I don't see it being a major leap for them to go beyond Python as an interpreter, right? Why not be able to offer interpreters on lots of different levels? I suspect we'll see a bunch of that. So I wanted to stop at about the 30-minute mark. Let me see. Let's see. Yeah. Any other questions or something you want me to give it a try, since I've got the access to all this good stuff? Anything people have seen out in the wild that maybe we can try and see if we can break or whatnot, or other people have thoughts or opinions on what they've seen, what they've heard, all the wonderful hype. I'm glad you liked it, Dilip. Excellent. So make sure you do head over to my YouTube. You'll see this, and I have 3 other videos where I did this the last 3 weeks. I plan on trying to work it out so I can do it every week, and I will be covering other aspects of GPT. I ran across Chat PDF yesterday. Awesome site. There you go. Absolutely. You just got to be, yeah. It all, there's 1,000 products that come out on a weekly basis, and they're all, you know, trying to find gold in the hills, and it's great because people, OpenAI and other language model vendors, look at that stuff out there and they go, hey, can we incorporate that into our product? I don't know how many people here have heard of LangChain. So that's a workflow type engine. You can actually say, hey, here's a bunch of goals, here's a bunch of data maybe, and go figure out how to get to this endpoint. And it will tweak the data, tweak the programming, all kinds of different things. It's a pretty sophisticated piece of work. And what we're looking at here with the code interpreter is along those lines. LangChain clearly has more options and capability, but clearly, yeah, OpenAI folks actually have looked at and said, hey, we need to incorporate this. And again, we're only in August. ChatGPT Web's only been out less than a year. So we're going to see some really interesting things in the next month. And by the end of the year, going into 2024. And yeah, keep an eye on all the different offerings that are happening and all the different products are popping out there. It's absolutely amazing. And I've signed up for a bunch of different ones of them over time and over the last year or so before ChatGPT Web came out, and I experimented, for a month, and I spent, $30, and I tried to build videos. I tried to do copywriting, for sales copy, just to get a sense of how the prompts work, how these different LLMs work, what's the implementation these third-party vendors are doing, because they do add extra magic to it. So and then I just turn the service off. So, I might spend a couple of $100 over a few months, but I get a deeper, richer understanding of what people are doing and interesting ideas of how people implement stuff. And kind of on that note, I'll do one more thing and then we'll wrap up. So I also have GitHub Copilot X. I don't know how much they're charging for it nowadays. I have to, full disclosure, I get it for free because I am an MVP. So what I'm going to just change, I'm not going to do much here, but let's change this to a PowerShell file. And let's see if we have, and I can click on chat. So now inside Visual Studio Code with Copilot X, I actually have a chat window and I can ask all kinds of questions. So using PowerShell, and what's awesome is I can misspell things because I'm a horrible speller, and it knows how to determine what I'm asking. So it makes me even faster. I don't have to worry about all that stuff or grammar. List the, and I'll go back to correct the even numbers, and I'm going to leave that misspelling, from 1 to 10. So let's see what it does. So now this is GitHub Copilot X. This thing has some real magic sauce in it from my perspective. The things that it knows about, I can ask a question. I can do I can even, I think, read websites with GitHub Copilot X. It's a little bit like Bing Chat. It's a little bit, they used to have the Bing search engine inside of Chat GPT Web. They've taken it out for lots of reasons. So anyway, so here I am inside my editor, and I did a simple piece, and I can do something like insert a cursor. So now it just inserts in my file. And if I press F5, we can see in the console, it just ran. I asked about the code. It came back with what I wanted. And I was able to just drop that into my editor, and off I go. There are other editors out there that are doing similar things. Won't name them all off the top of my head, but this is the direction we're going. So do you pay for ChatGPT Plus? Do you pay for the REST API access? Do you pay for Copilot? I always end my demos by saying AI is not going to replace you, but somebody who knows how to use AI will, right? So I can come in here and I can do a control I, and now I have an inline copilot. And let me see, minimal effort prompt. I'm not going to spell it right. Wrap in a function. I'm not going to spell that right. Let's see what we got. Now, how cool is that? So it gives me a diff window. This is what I had before, and it shows what it's going to do. And I'll accept that, I think. Come on, you can do it today. Wow, my machine is just not happy. So great demo. This works all the time. So if I accept that, let's reload the window. So there we go. So I started out and said, just give me give me the numbers, even numbers from 1 to 10. I had then selected that and said, wrap it in a function, and I'm off to the races. I can go further, and we'll do this. This is the last one. Add comment-based help. And I'm just going to accept. That worked this time. Thank you. And that's how you do comment-based help in PowerShell. It tells me the synopsis. It gave me a description. How cute is that? It even says that GitHub Copilot is the author. There's something going on Azure, which is why I think Code Interpreter had some of those early issues. This was not here. They had this in, they did take it out, and now it's back. So maybe they're releasing some things. So in a matter of 10 seconds, and I was explaining as I went. So if I was just, power typing and in the flow, I figured out what I wanted, my algorithm. Yes, it's simple. I wrapped it in a function, and then I have help aligned with it. And I can save this, and I'm ready to go. I wouldn't check this into production, and I'm not going to show this, but the next piece I can do is I can actually select this or go back to the chat window, and I can say, please write please write a pester test, and pester is what we use to do TDD in PowerShell. Please write a pester test, drop that in, and maybe it's not 100%, but it may get me to the point of I'm 98% there in terms of I've got a function that I'm trying to do. I've got tests around it. And now I can iterate it on it, and I can then either ask it to do the refactoring, or I can do the refactoring myself. So all these pieces are fascinating. And I believe this thing on the left there's rumors, it's all speculation on my part, that they're going to put the code interpreter in here. Code uses for unusual code interpreter here. Awesome. Only 48 hours. Glad you point that out. Yes, if get to AI Explained, subscribe. I subscribe to him. He has excellent deep dives on what you can do. Crazy stuff. And some of these things and some other folks, I take a look at what they do, maybe pull out some ideas, and then experiment on my own. And then I present it to folks here in different ways. So thanks. Who's that? RJ. Appreciate that link. And we've got another one. Yep. So yeah, his whole channel looks like maybe the same. Oh, yeah. This guy does really amazing things. You can put an image up there, and you can say, hey, create a 5-second video and zoom, go from fully zoomed in to zoomed out. So you can do video editing with this stuff. You can make images, you can flip them, all kinds of stuff. You can do put text in there. So this is just where we're starting to go. We're starting to see what's going on. And I believe the rumor is with GTP5 is that it's going to get audio, meaning you can actually communicate to it. And the little demo I tried to do that failed of converting text to speech is going to be even better. So hope you enjoyed. I'll be doing this next Friday. And if you've got ideas or things you'd like to see like this, thank you, Brendan. Drop a note on my meetup. Follow me on Twitter. Let's see if I can get x.com. at dfink. You can follow me here, and we can chat. I would love to hear feedback, thoughts about next steps. This is an exciting new world. It's a good time to be in development. So with that, if there's any questions or wrap stuff, let's wrap it up. Here's an AI comic for today. Is it safe to click, RJ? I'll take a chance. AI turns the single bullet point into a long email I can pretend I wrote. AI makes a single bullet. Absolutely. If you think it's cheating to use this, I completely disagree. We didn't think using IntelliSense was cheating. This is IntelliSense on steroids. And then again, if you know what you're doing in the programming stuff that you're working with, or if you're building sales copy and so on, you can really make this. You can become a superhuman and a super coder by using these different tools. Consumers want communication that is human, empathic, and real. So hopefully our AI can learn to generate content like that for them. All right. So yeah, lots of jokes that we can make about this stuff. I tend to look at it as it's a tool, it's something to learn, and it actually gets your mind going in a different way to think about, like, well, how would I do this stuff? It helps me actually communicate better to people because I can be more specific with chat, and then it's really honing my ability to write. It's honing my ability to communicate verbally. So yeah, you can tell that I'm a fan. So go to the one at the bottom, at the boat. Where are we going, dude? Which one? The sameness or a different one? Or with a boat? What are we saying here? Did I miss it? I have to go buy bots for what? Sorry, wrong page. No problem. Yeah, lots of cool stuff that people are saying about it. It is hilarious. But it's a tool you need to put in your toolbox. AI is not going to take your job. Somebody knows how to use this is going to be able to outperform uh, on many, many levels if they know how to do it. All right, folks, I really appreciate you taking your time. Enjoy the rest of your Friday and have a good weekend. Hopefully catch you next time.